welcome to session 2 of Unit 4. And in this session, we'll be looking at the classification of instructional materials used in physics. My name is Patrick Ejay. Now, at the end of this session, you should be able to identify the types of instructional materials needed for effective teaching and learning of physics. Now, there are different types of instructional materials that are used for the effective teaching and learning of physics. We saw that a whole lot of instructional materials do exist. A whole lot of instructional materials are at the disposal of the physics teacher. However, the creativity and the resourcefulness of the teacher can enable him to identify the various instructional materials at his or her disposal in order to use them to maximize students' learning. And these instructional materials are the visual aids, or what we call the pictorial media, audio media, as well as audio-visual aids. Now let's look at visual aids or pictorial media. And these are resource materials or tools which appeal to the sense of sight and touch as well as smell. And they can be classified into non-projected resources like the chalkboard, pictorial resources or aids like charts, pictures. We have three-dimensional aids. So here we have models like trains, car, heat engines. We also have projected aids. Here we have the film strips and slides. We have projector tubes. We also have laboratory equipment, chemicals, and apparatus that are being used in the physics classroom. We also have books. And the books, we have textbooks, we have journals, magazines, encyclopedia. All these are visual materials that are at the disposal of the teacher that the physics teacher can use to enhance students' learning of the various physics concepts. And these visual aids or these pictorial media help to illustrate and teach specific topics. So note that not every topic can be treated using visual aid. There are some topics that visual aid can be used. Other topics, visual aid may not be an appropriate instructional material to use. They also help learners to recall information and visually explain information that would be difficult to convey using only verbal or written items. So when there are some information, there is a concept you want to teach, but learners are finding it difficult to understand what you have been saying, you can use a visual aid to illustrate what you want to present to them. And they provide more realistic interpretation, motivate students, and help them to relate an action or depict a story. And finally, they can be used in any lighted environment. So once you are in an environment where students can clearly see everything over there, then it means you can use a visual aid. What this means is that you cannot use a visual aid in a dark room unless maybe you want to demonstrate a certain concept in that dark room, then that is a different case. However, if that is not what you want to do, then understand that visual aids cannot be used in dark rooms or dark environments. Let's look at audio media. And these are resources which appeal to the sense of hearing and touch. And they are sounds transmitted, purchased, or received through high fidelity waves which are heard through audio equipment. And these include radio, phonographs, as well as tape recorders. So you, the teacher, you can record yourself on a tape, or you can take a recording of a certain concept done by a different instructor or a different teacher, and you play such an audio to your learners. And audio media include radio and broadcast, recordings, as well as language laboratory. So these are the forms of audio media that we have. And let's look at the forms of the audio media. So radio and broadcast. And these are educational materials which could be heard from the radio. And they can can be a live something that learners will have experience, or it can be a pre-recorded session, that is a taped one that you present to your learners. And it can also be school broadcast or a general broadcast. Recordings and these educational materials which could be heard from the radio, and they are of two types, the audio discs as well as the audio tapes. So these are materials which have been pre-recorded and they are being presented to learners. We use them in order to maximize students' learning of concepts. We also have the language laboratory as a form of audio media. And this is a place where students can listen and study sounds and words of language using audio tapes and playback equipment. So, for instance, when you want to teach some vocabulary or some terminologies in physics, you can use the language laboratory to do that. And it comes in three forms. So, we have the stage where students passively listen to audio materials. The students are provided with self monitors. And finally, they are provided with a tape recorder, a video monitor, or a computer. That is in the language laboratory. Now, the final type of instructional material we'll be looking at is the audio-visual aids. And so this combines audio and visual. And these are resources that appeal to the sense of sight, the sense of hearing, as well as the sense of touch. And they include sound film projector, television, we have videotape recorder, as well as tapes, and the computer itself. All these materials can provide both audio as well as visual properties to the learner, and at the end of the day, they will ensure that teaching and learning are being made effective when you, the teacher, you are able to use it well. Students, in this session, we have looked at the types of instructional materials, and we saw the types of instructional materials as the visual aids or the pictorial media, the audio media, as well as the audio visual aids. However, you must understand that it is your ability, your resourcefulness, your creativity to use this media or to use these materials that is going to enhance the teaching and learning of physics.